It's 85 miles. It's going to be hard. If the stars align and the race unfolds the way I want it to, this style finish could suit me, but it depends on how the whole race plays out. All right, so I had some predictions for the Santa Barbara Road Race. Here we are a couple days later at NorCal Cycling Studios, global headquarters, here in person with Will Harden. Good to have you back, buddy.
Thanks, Jeff.
So the Santa Barbara Road Race ended up being quite hard. And I don't want to spoil anything, because like you saw in the intro, I had some predictions. And at the very beginning, what a bizarre start to this race. Because, well, tell them what happened.
Well, it's a long race. It's 85 miles, and it is January. I've been doing a little base. We talked about kind of what the race was going to have in store for us and who was at the race. But I accidentally got off the front, and I didn't really want to.
Actually honest, like accidentally, is he's not exaggerating. It was hilarious because I don't think I've ever seen this in a road race. I wish I had footage of it, but you can see from Will's GoPro here how much power he's doing. Very little. When you guys rolled away, I swear to God, I think you were accidentally getting a gap, and it was like 120 watts. Because we were back with even less motivation to stitch it up. We were doing like 50 watts back in the field. I'll show a clip from my Strava here. And you guys were just opening this gap. Willie, my teammate, is like, I may as well just jump across. So he jumped across. And meanwhile, we're just back shooting the breeze. We're mugging for the camera. And you guys finally end up sort of rotating and establishing a gap. And we're back mugging for the camera some more, having a good time. Borselman gets across. John Borselman, in case you don't know, you're new to the sport. He is a gravel superstar. He's one of these guys who is phenomenally strong, especially on a difficult course like this with some climbing, with some crosswinds, 85 miles, and he gets across. And we're shooting the breeze back here in the group. And we're like, don't realize this danger until suddenly Christopher Blevins, world champion mountain biker, is like, okay, enough messing around. It's been about 30 or 40 miles. I guess I'll just go across solo. He waited for the crosswind, and he just torched it. And nobody could follow him. He left the entire field in his wake. Not only that, what happened when he jumped up to you guys?
Well, I think once Blevins and Borselman got up, the mood just changed in the breakaway. At first it was...
Well, immediately when he made contact,
he attacked.
Yeah, I mean, look at what he's doing across the left-hand side of the road here. He is smashing past you guys.
Yeah.
And this already lay waste to your breakaway. Like, a couple of guys got popped immediately, right? Including my beloved... Willie. That sounded weird when William Myers. My beloved William Myers, my teammate, got dropped from this break. Incredibly consequential for us on VFR, but for you, Will... What this must have been a breath of fresh air in some respects, because like now you have more firepower in the breakaway.
Yeah, we could tell in the breakaway that everybody was getting pretty tired. We're really only halfway through the race at that point, and Borselman had come up to me, kind of talked about, do you want to attack? Are you feeling good? And I did want to attack on the hill that lap. Luckily, when Blevins joined, it really wasn't a decision anymore. Like, we were going to hit the pace pretty hard on the hill. But I think it was a pretty manageable pace, and then we started rolling through a lot quicker, which as soon as we started rolling through, I thought we had a chance in this breakaway, and I started rolling, spending my matches pull for pull with these guys as much as I thought necessary.
And it was at this point for us back in the field, I'll cut back over to my camera here, where Willie's back, our teammate, our representation, and this is sort of like a worst case scenario. Fortunately, this is a January race, and we're sorting things out, but like when you have a teammate in the break, you're like, hey, I'm not working. Like, that gap can go out to 20 minutes for all I care. I got a teammate up there. And then you're like, what? Who's that? What? Huh? We don't have a teammate in the break anymore. So it's like, now we have to bring that back. And that's exactly what we did. So here's a clip of me on the front, and I spent, I think, exactly like 3 pulls, maybe 4 pulls on the front. All the credit goes to Brad, Andrew, who did a lion's share of the work on the front to manage this gap up to you guys. And I was shocked that they brought it back, because it's Will, it's Chris Blevins, it's John Borselman, and with the help of a few others, like I said, I went up there for a handful of pulls, not much to be honest, because I was the guy for the finish, And all of a sudden, like, that gap starts to close down, and then we could start to taste blood back in the pack, and all of a sudden it's like, we're catching you guys.
Yeah. So back on my perspective here, the catch is imminent. We've been getting updates from the moto. Gap's coming down. We're still going hard. I decide to let go of this front group. I'm going to double sag this climb, so drop from the front group all the way, hopefully, to land nicely at the back of the main peloton. And here comes Jeff, just blowing past me with one guy on his wheel, going super hard. That breakaway is going to get caught, and I feel a lot better about my decision to let go of it.
Yeah, I was going hard right here. And the reason is because Brad and Andrew had just done so much work in the flats, and they brought us to within, as you can see, it's like 10 seconds, 15 seconds to Blevins, to Borselman, to the remaining group off the front. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to finish the work here. Well, turns out finishing the work up to a world champion is a little easier said than done. So I ride all the way up the hill about as hard as I can, which is not hard enough. And I get to the top, and as we switch to my camera, so when I turned it on, we're towards the top, and I'm like starting to get a little bit frustrated with these riders around me. I'm like, finish the job, because I didn't want all that work that my teammates had done, that I had done, to go to waste. I didn't want Blevins and Borselman just to open the gap. If there's any guys in this race capable of just like, oh yeah, we've been on the break all day, we're just gonna get within a few seconds and just ride away again, those are the guys capable of it. So I'm sitting here frustrated, watching that gap, and you can see the riders up there. They're like so close but so far away. There's I think that was Lance in between, in a little chase group in between, and then us, and I'm like, guys, please. So anyway, as you can see, we do eventually start to organize on front with the help of others, and we do end up actually catching not just that little chase group with Lance, but also that lead group with Blevins, with Borselman. And that means we're all back together, and this is just a few kilometers later. I had this crazy thought, which in hindsight is probably a bad idea, was like, okay, we have about a lap and a half to go. This is, well, you'll see the meters on the screen. It's still some meat on the bone. Too far for me to go solo for sure. But the way this race was behaving was strange. Like from the very beginning, you guys rolled away almost by accident. So here I am, like trying to roll off the front because people were just kind of letting this happen. And I was like, why not? We just caught the leaders. Maybe they'll let this happen. And obviously, as you can see here, that was not the case. I get brought back, and yeah, at this point, I think I'm just going to sit in, see if I can survive the last climb. Will, where are you at?
Yeah, well, we had our little powwow at the back of the peloton at one point. Like, oh, our legs hurt from this.
That actually wasn't far from this point. Let's fast forward to that moment. Actually, we just cut forward because we both survived the last climb. It actually wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be wild. But speaking of wild, this is like technically the final corner before the hill, and I just moved up like 20 wheels. I thought that was kind of funny. And then I quickly realized, oh, like we still have 5.5 kilometers. This isn't a crit, Jeff. It doesn't really matter. A fight to that corner didn't matter, but it was a freebie, right? So like, why not? Anyway, let's fast forward a little bit and see how the rest of the race shakes out. This, in fact, is when it's kind of crunch time, because now we're just outside of 2 kilometers to go, and we're turning into this headwind. It's kind of like a head cross from the right to left. That's going to be important, Will, in just a moment, because my position is going to be less than desirable, shall we say. But I am still like thinking, look, 149 beats per minute. Like, we're chill. And there goes Blevins, being followed by everybody, including a couple of Cal Poly guys, and that was Lance. And who's this homie with the red baboon butt on my right?
The baboon butt, patented. We should also talk about, there's a guy off the front, and he has been for a lap.
We should talk about that because he snuck under everyone's radar. In fact, us not talking about it is pretty indicative of how everyone kind of treated it. Like, homie, like, sent it off the front and had a monster effort, and he is still nursing like a 30-second gap. And we're like, are we bringing him back? By the way, I am not bringing him back. Like, we were shelled. Yeah. There was nobody left on my team, and I'm not doing any more work. So I think everyone was kind of thinking that. And, okay, speaking of, like, I'm not that guy, pal. I'm on the right here, eating headwind and crosswind. And there's still 1,200 meters to go, guys. It's like, Have I raced before, Will? Is this my
Well,
first race?
It's your first 85-mile road race in a while. Huh?
So frustrated myself because there's a reason we're all pegged on the left-hand side of the road here. That's because there is a crosswind component, and here goes my teammate like launching at Andrew with 1K to go, being a homie, but I am just, it's like too little too late for me. I'm so grateful that he did that at the end because I think that was probably a better chance at winning than me, but everybody now is chasing, including yours truly, Will, in better position than me on this climb. We're going to go over to your perspective here in just a second, but first, my just kind of miserable finish. I get swarmed. I should have been riding that swarm instead of getting swarmed. I got to the front way too soon. Now, officially the final corner, and I'm just way too far back. Truth is, a couple of things. I'm way too far back and out of position because I decided to move up way too early. Got way too antsy for a January race. And then also, I just didn't have it. Like, let's be realistic. Like I said in the race breakdown, at the very top of this video, things had to fall into place for me, and even then I was pretty skeptical that this would be a good finish for me, and now it is confirmed. I'm dodging traffic, I'm dodging all of these dropped riders, and for a brief fleeting moment, I was like, am I at the front? I literally thought that, Will. I peeked around, I was like, oh, no, there's like 6 riders up there. With a monster gap. And you guys have to realize that that gap up there to them is insurmountable. This isn't a flat run, and this is a climb. So I shut it down right there, live to fight another day. I'm not sprinting for 13th or something like that. Shall we pop over your footage, Will?
I guess. Okay, here I am on Blevins wheel. Great position. I feel great, but I'm about 3 weeks into base training right now, and I just did, 315 watts for 3-4 hours. And, I'm just not that guy right now. Dude,
You're not that guy, pal.
Great position, but look, my legs are locking up, and here I go. I'm done. This is over. I can't, I almost get bucked off my bike with a cramp, and I pulled the chute sooner than you did, Jeff.
In the break all day, crushed. Amazing watts you made. Impressive.
Yeah, not bad.
And speaking of amazing efforts, shout out to the winner, Giovanni Romero, who held off the charging and defending winner of this race, Matthias Johnson, literally down to inches over the course of 85 miles. I think that's impossible even for bike racers to comprehend. I know it was a shock for me. Wait, it came down to a bike throw after the dude was out solo that whole time.
We looked at his power and his RPMs. He was doing 110
Whoa,
RPM.
Can we talk about that? So in the master class, I get asked a lot, what should the ideal cadence be? And I'm like, it doesn't really matter because the science says just do what's most comfortable. But I generally give people some idea, between 70 and 100 and 105 maybe.
Good range, yeah.
Is just in there somewhere. It's not really a science. Just cadence, how quickly your legs are turning over. Homie was up there doing 106 cadence in the final lap of an 85-mile road race, just smashing. Doesn't like torque.
Yeah.
Can spin a high gear and be fast. So
Very fast.
yeah, really impressive win. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of Giovanni Romero. Congrats on the win. Will, thanks for coming on. We have a crit to talk about. Let's do some more commentary tomorrow. I'm a little fried. My brain's not working.
Yeehaw.